Video I'm going to show you how to hold more deer on your land with these 4 habitat improvements. So going back to my last video that came out Tuesday, this should be coming out Saturday. It's Thursday right now, but holding deer is different from attracting deer. I mentioned that in my attracting deer video, or mature bucks. And so this is how to hold deer or mature bucks. And so there's 4 tips and habitat improvements that you can put on your land that will hold bucks and deer to make sure that they stay on your property. Now obviously they're not going to stay there 24/7, 365 days of the year, but this is going to get them on your land during hunting hours where you can get a chance at shooting that mature buck that you've been after. If you have a good hunting property with good habitat, then you will not have mature bucks on your land during the summer. Or you will have them every other month or occasionally, not all the time like you should have in the hunting season. And so I had a buck out here during the summer. It came about every month. And so that's good because I know, and I had a ton of bucks come in after the annual whitetail shift, which I mentioned in a video if you want to watch that video, and it explains it a little bit better. But that buck came back, and I didn't get a couple pictures of him for a while, so I don't know what he turned into. His antlers were only out to his ears, but I still had a ton of bucks flow in. So you want to have fall buck herds, not summer buck herds, because if you have deer on your land during the summer, or mature bucks on your land during the summer, they will not be here in the fall. And I've seen that a ton of times in different parcels. I just had a lot of experience with that happening. But does are a lot different. You can have, if you have does on your cameras during the summer and hunting season, that's fine too, because does, there's a saying, does here today are here to stay. Because does do not travel as far as mature bucks do, and they don't need that much of a habitat change like mature bucks do. Because a mature buck is very picky on what he needs to live, and you would be too if you were in his situation. So, but the doe herds, the doe family groups, they can withstand a lot, and they can withstand a lot more pressure than a buck, and so they just stay around places a lot better than a mature buck does. And so we're going to start with number 4, and number 4 is major water sources. So, like I said, like I've been saying, I have a water hole that I'm going to put out in about a week now, but that's not going to hold deer. That one little 55-gallon or 110-gallon water tank will not hold deer on your land. Now the reason why I put major water sources is because if you have a bigger water source, they will. I know, especially down south in Texas or Mississippi, Alabama, anywhere down there, there's a lot of swamps and just a lot of water sources that are out in the middle of nowhere that a lot of deer come to drink. And plus, down south, it's a lot hotter there, so they need that water, unlike they really do here in the Midwest or up north, because they get a lot of their water from vegetation and food plots that they eat. And so major water sources like ponds, even if you're not down south, if you have a pond in a remote location by your deer habitat, that's a major holding source for deer, because that's a bigger spot. And a water hole is simply an attraction, not a holding attraction, not going to hold deer. A bigger water source will hold deer. And so that's number 4. Now number 3 is shrubs and briars and hardwood regeneration. Now I'll kind of go through these. But first off, shrubs. Shrubs like red osier dogwood, yellow dogwood, gray dogwood, a lot of just bushes that deer will eat off of, or mature bucks will eat off of in their bedding areas, that will not hold deer. But if you apply them with something else, which I'll mention here in a second, if you apply those shrubs, briars, or hardwood regeneration to something else, then you will have you will be able to hold deer. This by itself, the shrubs, briars, hardwood regeneration, is just an attraction if you do not have bedding. And so I'll talk about bedding in a minute, but shrubs like, for instance, red osier dogwood, that's my favorite. Deer absolutely love them, and they'll eat them down to the dirt. But, not necessarily down to the dirt, but just as an expression. But briars is any woody growth. I know like box elder trees, they have a lot of woody stems coming up from the root base, or not the root base, but like the stump part. And so I've got some of that out here too. And so deer like to eat on those, or nibble on those briars. And hardwood regeneration. Hardwood regeneration doesn't really follow into the shrub and briar category, but I thought I should mention it. Hardwood regeneration is, I've got a lot of it here because I don't have much woods, but we will be working on that later this year, or this spring and summer. But if you're in a heavily wooded area, heavy hardwood areas, if you hinge cut those trees and you let just the natural sun and light come in, then you're going to have hardwood regeneration. That is where all new plant growth and everything grows up, new trees, new shrubs. So it kind of falls into the category, but hardwood regeneration is when you're getting rid of that shaded canopy, for instance, a tree, toppling it over, and that sunlight gets to the dirt, and then stuff grows up within the leaves and other debris on the ground, which makes hardwood regeneration, which is really good for deer. And so, now applying these three, mainly these two, to bedding areas, that is really good because those will hold your deer in your bedding areas for the daytime. And just like this, bedding areas without shrubs and briars, or just shrubs or just briars, will not be a good bedding area and will not hold your deer. It will for about 2 to 3 hours maybe, but deer feed 5 times in a 24-hour period, so you need those shrubs and briars in your bedding areas because they need to eat in those bedding areas. And so having those red osier dogwoods, yellow dogwoods, any type of briars or trees in your bedding areas for the deer to eat on, that's really great because you can hold those deer there for their bedding hours, and you can have them eating on it when they need to get up to eat, because like I said, deer feed 5 times in a 24-hour period. And so right here, number 1, food sources. Food sources will greatly hold deer. Now ag fields and ag land will hold deer too, but not like a food plot. Deer need that green vegetation before they need that almost woody corn stalks or soybeans. Soybeans does not really fall into the category of vegetation. If you have corn, if I had a cornfield and I had a soybean field or winter wheat field, that those deer will flock to the corn. If you have a food plot right here, and a cornfield right here, those deer will probably go in between them, but they will probably hit the food plot more because they need that green vegetation. Because I had soybean fields all around here because I'm in a heavily ag land area, and so the farmers that farm our property around here was all soybeans, and then the other neighbor's field, which the farmers did, not the same farmers that do ours, but different farmers, put in corn. When I didn't have my food plot in, the deer were on that corn. But when I put my food plot in, those deer from the cornfields came to my food plot, because that's a way better food source for them. And next year, or this year actually, I'm really excited because we get corn. Now cornfields and food plots combined, there's no telling what's going to happen and what kind of deer are going to come. But I'm almost for sure that a lot of deer will filter in here because both the corn and the food plots will make a great habitat and food sources for deer, and they're not that far apart either. So that's really cool. Can't wait for that. And I think we're going to have a lot better for late season this year because we have those cornfields and those winter food sources. And so I'm going to be planting some winter food sources in the food plot too. So that's going to be really cool too. So I hope this video helps you. And if you put all 4 of these on your land, don't apply pressure, don't apply hunting pressure, don't apply any pressure of any type, and you're hunting the right ways, then you will have great success, lots of mature bucks, and lots of deer in general on your property. Just like this property. Before I didn't do anything, I rarely saw deer. Now that I've done a lot of stuff, I've seen bigger bucks than I could have even imagined. I've had Pope and Young bucks here, never seen that. Usually see spikes or something like that. But now that I'm applying good hunting and good habitat, that's a great mix to get a mature buck to come on your land. And now I just saw a couple of those yesterday, which is really cool. I love seeing them from the house even. I think that's, yeah, I saw them from the house yesterday, so that was really cool. They were down feeding in the winter wheat. So if you're working on your winter habitat, don't have it done yet like I have, those deer are going to start coming in. So I hope this helps you, and I hope you can apply these 4 strategies and habitat improvements to your land as well, and you'll have great success this season.